Today's workshop session is digital transformation through MACH technology, what you need to know. And we have our co-host, Scott Young, distinguished architect from 3Pillar Global, and Gal Oppenheimer, Director of Solutions Architects at Contentstack. Without further ado, Scott, you want to take it over?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So the first thing I'm going to do is introduce myself. I'm Scott, Solution Architect with 3Pillar. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about who 3Pillar is. We are a product development company. We build software products. And our definition of a software product is the thing that our customer uses. This slide here has a bunch of our customers. There are lots of very well-known names here. Fortune, I don't see there, but we also have Fortune, PBS, Backcountry, Equinox. These are all active customers of ours. We work with them to build out their products. We provide software development capabilities that allow these digital native companies or companies that want to be digital native the resources to realize that digital vision. A lot of the work that we do is around the MACH model that we're going to talk about today with headless and with cloud native APIs and microservices. It's a very common design pattern that we come up against, and we have lots of war stories and successes to talk about today. We partner with Contentstack because the content management space is a great place to take the benefits of MACH and make it valuable to the businesses and exciting for the customers to use. So that's me, that's 3Pillar. And Gal, you're going to talk a little bit about Contentstack.
Yep, thank you. So yeah, these are some of our customers. It's honestly significantly less than half because we can't show all the logos, but just for more background on me, I've been at Contentstack for just over 9 years. So I've worked with a lot of these companies as they've come onto the platform. I'm wearing my favorite Contentstack shirt or gaming shirt because we're really popular in the gaming industry. And you can see some of the logos in the second session, others there. The reason companies come to use Contentstack really is that we bring together what business users and what developers need. So we give a very, very powerful API and system for developers to build with, and they tend to build a lot faster on Contentstack than on CMSs they worked with previously. And at the same time, we focus our platform on being very easy to use for content creators. So enabling and empower them to move faster with really cool features. But today, instead of doing sort of a boring product demo and having everyone sit here and watch that, because you can honestly find those on our website, we're going to have more of an interactive workshop and do some modeling discussions on how you can move from other platforms to Contentstack or how you'd build out sort of different integrations on the platform. And just to show you sort of some of the integrations we have that come pre-built from the platform, and it's really easy to also build your own. Here's just a quick sort of ecosystem of some of the ones that we bring to the table. So when you want to bring these in, you can often spin up the integrations in just a couple minutes or a couple of hours. So like the YouTube one, for example, takes about 5 minutes to implement, and then you have a working integration with YouTube on your website. And so some of these will come up potentially sort of as we're diagramming out today.
Fantastic, thanks, Gal. So I'm going to stop my screen share and let you all take it over. Before we do that, let's do a quick poll. So I will launch this first poll around CMS technology. So which of the following CMS technologies are you most familiar with? You can select all that apply here. Get your votes in. Folks are voting. And will come through. Awesome. Give folks just a couple more seconds to get their final answers in. Awesome. All right, sharing the results just so that everyone can see. Go.
Wow, everyone knows Contentstack. That's super awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Or not everyone, most people do.
Most people.
Looks like we
A
had
good sign.
good. It's a good sign. Yes, we also know Contentful a lot. Some good users of AEM, Sitecore. So we'll definitely be discussing of those in the discussion.
Awesome. All right, Gal, I'll let you take it over.
Okay, let me share my screen. Awesome. Can you guys all see a blank canvas?
We see your, nope, you just need to minimize your Chrome tab.
Oh, am I sharing the wrong screen? Let me reshare then.
I saw your canvas, but it was under the Chrome, your browser tab.
That's good.
There we go.
It's good. Okay, cool. Refreshing. Yeah, so this is a really cool tool called Whimsical that I personally love to build in, because you'll see hopefully in today's conversation, but it can basically draw about as fast as Scott and I can talk. We'll see if someone comes on later who talks too quickly, and then maybe they'll beat me at talking or drawing, but it's really
I'm going to
fun.
challenge you to by asking you questions and see how quickly you can draw the answers.
Let's do it. I'm on
So
board.
what we thought about doing to kick this off was we'll take a simple scenario, and then we'll frame the Contentstack solution around solving the problems for that scenario. So what we start with is the starting point is a simple WordPress site, has lots of content split into managed by multiple divisions. So there's a reasonably complex publishing pipeline. And it's
how
just
many, like roughly, do you have an idea of how many sort of different page templates there might be?
There's the home page, there's the blog page, there's the product page. So there's probably 5 in total.
Okay.
So one of the things that we're interested in figuring out how to do is to reuse some of the content on there, which is a common goal for headless implementations, and that the content gets trapped in the pages and is not a thing. So one of the problems we want to solve is the content needs to be reusable across various places in our site, but also across other media. So perhaps in our mobile app. So that's one thing. So we want to improve the publishing process. We want to reuse the content. And the other challenge that I've got for you is that we want more consistency in that publishing process, so that we've let the divisions do their own thing, which makes it hard for us to control things centrally. And we've got the wrong balance between control and freedom on the publishing. And we want to make sure that we have a solution for that, where we have a consistent website, but we also have the freedom for the publishing teams. So those are the challenges. So what would you ask me to solve that problem?
Yeah, so looking right now, it's based on WordPress. And so WordPress is definitely very easy to spin up. It's a technology, a platform that's been around for a couple of decades. Everyone knows, a lot of people know how to use it. It comes with a lot of things out of the box, but each of the templates tend to be very separate. And so reusing content between them, like you can go into, say, your asset library and pick from an existing asset. But if you wanted to, say, have a banner or a carousel item that's reused, or have a video call out, that can become very difficult to do because each of the templates are separate. And something like a blog page will work really well because WordPress was really designed for blogs. So if you do blog, news, press releases, it's phenomenal. But as soon as you start doing things that have more structure and design to them, it's not just large, rich text areas, it becomes a lot harder to manage and kind of gets clunky. So let's jump in and take a step back. Instead of focusing on the pages, let's focus on what are those reusable elements.
Okay, so
let's name a few of them. Yeah.
So at the top of the pages, we like to have a big banner. We like to have a big image that shows what's going on. We tend to have some call outs that are in our in the text. We've got the body text. We've got, we like to embed images as our videos into the pages. What else do we have? Good question. What else do we have? What
Do you have, you said you're a product company. Do you guys have any case studies?
Yeah, so we have the case studies. And we like to be able to link those to the product catalog. One thing I didn't mention was that we have a database of the products, but we have case studies around the products, and then we have database-driven content quotes that it comes from structured data rather than from content.
Okay, and I'd imagine you also have probably like a header and a footer that's globally set, so you can update one time.
And then we'd like to be able to provide, to improve the search on this, to like when somebody searches for content, they get the case study, but it might be nice to also get the product catalog entry as well related to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
and
a lot.
And then SEO, of course. We want to make sure we cover SEO. SEO is big. It's important for everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we have our site tends to have recurring visitors. So it's super annoying to see the same thing all the time. So one of the things we're trying to do is recognize a repeat visitor and make sure that the content that they get is appropriate for them. That's I guess the word is personalized for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. We'll identify this as perfect. Okay, so let's go out and build maybe our homepage model now. Oh, it's not what I want. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Give us a different color. Awesome. So inside of this, we sort of we'll have the header. And so what's really cool is Contentstack has this concept called a global field. And so these building blocks would all be different global fields that could be used in the system. You can basically define sets of field or functionality one time, then reuse it across all your page templates. And that can be both reusable content, which we'll talk about in a little bit, as well as reusable structure. So in this case, the header is a reusable structure as well as the content behind the structure.
Okay. So when you're doing that homepage, you're not building the homepage, you're building a template here. Is that right? That's
correct. Yeah. As the website developer, I want to build the HTML for the website, and then I want to also build the template, the content model that goes with it. But the actual creation of content, updating of content is something I want to make easy for content creators to do. But at the same time, let's say there's 50 page templates on my site. I don't want to go build out a banner model 50 different times, because let's say we iterate on the functionality after 6 months, I have to then go update it 50 times. So this allows me to update it basically just one time. But let's dig into this.
So let's just, can I just probe on that? So when you say update, you mean add additional information, that additional fields to the header, or that could be applied into all of the pages?
Exactly. Like, let's say, for example, this banner, we started with just a banner as the first top item. And then after 6 months, we realized, hey, we don't actually want to have a banner. What we want to do is we want to have a carousel. So I can go in, I can update the banner functionality to a carousel, and I can allow, say, for 3 or 4 different versions of this. So I might have my banner, I might have a like a CTA element. So with a button, like CTA stands for call to action, in case you're not familiar with it, or I might have a video. And so now what I'm doing is I'm actually updating this carousel functionality to support 3 different features. There. 3 different features out of the box. And I would be able to do that one time. And as long as the carousel is sitting on my page template, it'll automatically roll out to all the pages that support carousels. So very easy to update that kind of functionality. So looking at a home page, sometimes you'll have a header almost always on top. Like you said, you'll have a banner or a carousel that's right underneath it. And then you'll have a sort of more flexible layout where you may have a bunch of different elements that switch. Sometimes you might have a video afterwards, you might have a quote or an interview. You may have another banner pointing to a press release, and that will largely vary really based on what is needed over time. And what you don't want to do is every time you make a change, you don't want to have to go to your engineering team. Think about if every time you wanted to put a video next or move the video down and put a case study above it, if you had to go to engineering and ask them to make changes, that'd be very frustrating. So we have this feature called modular blocks that allows you to have flexible spaces. This will be a flexible space in the middle of the page. And then at the end of it, we will have the footer. And then we'll also have the SEO metadata, which won't appear visually in the page template, but will be a part of the content model. We can put here, make this, it's a little hard to see. Let's make this a different color. We'll make this say yellow because it doesn't appear. Perfect. So in this flexible space, let's look at some of the items we have. So we'll want to support text callout. We'll want to support embedded videos. We'll want to support case studies and maybe a link to the product catalog if we want to.
So are those things be required on every page or are they optional?
These would be optional. So as a content creator, you're deciding what you want to put inside the homepage and what you want to reuse. And we talked a little bit about personalization. So let's say I want to be able to personalize the embedded videos. So what I can do is I can actually add different personalization tags inside this element. Let's make this fit.
So that might
here.
be like a first-time visitor or
exactly
who's been here this week.
Yeah, so that'll be a tag. I might have a bunch of tags available. So let's just show what some of those tags might be. I don't know why it keeps coming out small. I've never seen that before. Here, we'll do this one here. Oh, it is weirdly shaped. There it is. So they're a first-time visitor, or they're a abandoned cart. So they've put some stuff in their cart, but they never finished checking out. Or they are say, promo searcher. So they're only buying stuff that are either on sale or sort of in the discount section. Would all be different personalization options that we could choose to support in here. I've pulled this off the options here, so we'll put this back up over here. Awesome. So we've built out this page. Let's see if there's anything else we want to put in. Let's add in sort of the rich body content.
Yeah, we put all the bells and whistles in and then we forgot about that, like the content bit.
Yep.
So,
Awesome.
So this looks very much like a WordPress page at the moment. It's got all of these sections in it. Can you contrast this, what you've just done here, with what would happen when we were building a WordPress template?
Yeah, so the difference here is this first step. So when we built this out, it felt like just 5 seconds of work when we put out all these different sections. But what would happen after you define this is you would work with your designers and define, what does the header look like? What is its functionality? What is the product catalog? What is an embedded video? What platform is it? What do they select? Do you want metadata, like maybe auto playing it? Or do you want it to pause on scroll or things like that? And you'd build out these different elements. And then the process of actually creating the page template is just linking together those elements. And so the first page, I didn't have a lot of savings. But now let's say I want to go, and instead of just having this home page, I want to create, say, like a product landing page. I now, instead of going and developing and building out this whole model together, I can start by basically just copying the page. It's all there to go. And now I can start modifying it. So for example, I'll have a header and carousel, but what I might also have is, and let's shift all of this down. Forgot to move this box. Okay. Let's just resize this a little bit. It's a little finicky today. Okay. So, but what I might also do is I might have a URL management field. So I can go in here and I can build the URL field. And then for this, what I can do is I can actually build like a rule. So let's say it's going to be like /products/ like product category / product name. This can automatically be filled out based on the metadata I'm selecting. So for example, we notice there's a product category, so I may need to add here another model for the product categories. And now as I'm creating my page, I can define which product category it should be a part of. And this automatically builds it out. And so that's, I think, where the real savings in this sort of modular approach to development is that all of these elements are coming together. And let's say down the line for case studies, you want to add 2 new features. I can go add it up here at the model and it automatically rolls out to both these pages. And you can imagine as I have 10 or 20 different templates that I'm working with, it rolls out a lot faster. And also what's important is for content creators, there's consistency. So like every time I'm using a case study model in every single template across my whole site, it's the same. So you don't have a problem where different teams worked independently on the website and all have their own functionality and things work different ways in their projects.
So let me go back and so you've got that product landing page. Can you tell me a little bit about the content creator's experience? Do they have a page where they edit this content based upon this template that you've got here? Or are they editing, is there a page to edit the case study and then a page for the text collage, and then they can drop that case study in and reuse it?
That's a great question. So we have a feature in Contentstack called references. And what that allows you to do is that allows you to link content to other content. So for example, this case study, they're going to pull in the element, but they're not going to define all the content there because you want that case study to be reusable. I might put the same case study on my homepage as I do on one of my product landing pages. So I'll actually have my own library of case studies that I can reuse in different places. And so we can represent those references. Like it'd probably be the case studies. It might be the embedded videos as well. We can make those all triangles. Oh, let me change the shape to sort of signify over here to signify that they are reusable item. Oh, that shape won't work. Let's use this one here. Yeah.
Okay. So then I could split my content team up so that there's a group of people that only write case studies.
Yep, exactly.
And they don't really understand how they're going to be used. They might be used on the homepage. They might be used on a PDF slick if people still use those, or it could be embedded into a product page. But the case study writer doesn't care about that so much. Okay, so
yep, that's exactly correct.
That would allow me to change the publishing model, not just to make the existing workflow better, but also to rethink the workflow around specialization. Okay.
Yep. And I saw that Leandro asked a question in the Q&A. So let me answer it live on this call. So in case I'm not sure if the Q&A is public or not, but I will read it out. So would you use modular blocks to change the layout of the homepage in terms of columns? So let's say on a normal day, the homepage has one column with all elements one after another. But during Black Friday, you may have 2 columns with 2 featured products side by side. And so, yeah, that's exactly correct. So our modular blocks can actually be nested inside of each other. And I believe you can go 4 or 5 levels deep. I've honestly never seen a customer go more than 3 levels deep, but we always like to anticipate the unknown. And so you can actually control full grid layouts that way. So you can have things go side to side as well as up and down. And it's really just a drag and drop interface to move things up and down. So if you know how to like hold down on your mouse and move something up and down, you can start dragging the elements and reordering them and see them basically change in real time on the web page. You don't have to sort of click a plus button, start copying and pasting fields, and it's all these different elements that can move around very simply. And so that includes up and down, left and right. We've also had some customers where they'll build just different layout setups. So for example, let's say an article, you might want to have a single column view or a multi-column view. You can actually define those as different options, and the user would select between a couple of different layout designs, and the page will sort of automatically transform based on those pieces.
So on that transformation, could you talk about the, so far you've talked about designing the templates, but we haven't talked about the publishing bit. And I think it's worthwhile just emphasizing that publication of this is through an API, and then you can integrate it with Gatsby or Next.js or whatever you want to publish, to read what's in the content database, and then publish it in any way that you want. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So we basically output the content over an API. We have a REST API as well as a GraphQL API, and they're both used in production. We have customers that are sending billions of API calls. I can't say the exact number, but significantly higher than 1 billion API calls per month into the platform to fetch their content. And then we also have SDKs that are wrappers of those APIs that allow you to develop it just natively. And so if you're building a website and you want to work with Node.js directly, with our JavaScript SDK, you don't need to make the long URL queries. And same for like iOS, Android, Dart. We have well over a dozen integrations. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. So
when you were talking about designing the case study or designing the header, there's really two things going on there. There's the designing the model, figuring out what information you need. And then there's the visual design of that would be created in some JavaScript-based solution, probably.
Yep.
But once that model has been figured out and the UI has been designed, the content creation and the building of the website become two separate tasks that they can be worked on independently because everybody understands what the model for the header is. And the content team can work on refining the content, and the application website team can work on iterating through the best solution for the website to make it fast and responsive and all of these nice positive words.
Yep, that's exactly correct. And we've seen a couple areas where customers really excel there. So first of all, because the content model is not directly tied to the page, as soon as the content model is locked down, people can start creating content without waiting. And so if you have, say, a new section and a new case study section, you want to support 50 case studies, instead of waiting until it's done and then rushing to put in all your case studies in 2 or 3 days, just as soon as the model's been created, editors can start creating their case study content, and it can take as long as they need. And then by the time development's complete, the content can be ready to go. That's sort of one big advantage. The other advantage is if you're not changing the content model, you can really do whatever you want to your website without ever impacting editors. So we actually had a customer a couple of years ago where they did a complete rebrand and design refresh, where they didn't change their company name, they didn't change their language, but they changed the color scheme, they changed the font, they changed their brand identity. And they were actually able to do the entire web redesign, which took them 2.5 months to build, with a 1-hour content freeze, because they weren't changing from an architecture perspective. The only thing they changed was the header and footer, but all the rest of the content was the same. They were just changing the colors, changing the images. And it was just really cool to see how they would do that. And when we were working with them, we asked them, like, hey, on your last CMS, what would it have taken? They said would have been at least a 1 to 2 month content freeze. And anything that would have been done in that 1 month period would have needed to be copied over manually, because they would have basically started a completely new website with a completely new project and a new database for the new system. And in Contentstack, they just patched into the same database through the API.
So on that particular customer, did they use the same technology for the website, or did they also do a tech refresh when they were doing visual design?
So for this one, they only did a design refresh because their website had only been deployed for about a year and a half. And so it was already using like Node and React and modern technologies. But yeah, a lot of times when customers come to Contentstack, they are doing a massive sort of refresh of their technology because they're coming off of a 7 or 10-year-old system and they want to select all the latest and greatest technologies.
Your story is good in that it shows that they're able to iterate through the design or the front end technology or at the back end on the model independently without having to think about it as a single solution. Those are now separate solutions that have separate timelines and can be swapped out as needed.
Yeah, like you look at, for example, if you go to contentstack.com, every few weeks there's new functionality coming on, new pages being launched, pages being redesigned. It's a very iterative, continuous process for us. The current version of this website sort of probably started about, I think it was about 3.5 years ago we launched it. But we've continued tweaking it, improving it, trying new things. And that's really the power of headless is you can try something without it costing your team half a year of work. See if it sticks, see if customers, if it resonates with your visitors. And if it does, keep improving on and building it into it. If it doesn't, you throw it away and start with something new.
Great. So I have lots more questions to ask you, but do we have any that are queued up on the questions? If not, I can.
Yeah, Christina, do we have anyone that wants to maybe come up and share their use case?
Let's see. I think we have.
If you haven't yet said you do, feel free to raise your hand. And what we'll do if you do want to join is we'll actually bring you onto video, assuming you want to come in video. If you're not ready for video, you can join just audio only. But share your use case and discussion, basically similar to what Scott and I have been doing. We'll sort of learn what you're building and actually do some diagramming live together in this call.
That's perfect. And we have Nick Nguyen, who has volunteered to join us here. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
I kind of want to talk about the use case of personalization and how that would integrate with Contentstack.
Okay.
So for example, if I had, multiple audiences coming to my page, how would I connect Contentstack and variations to allow that to happen?
Okay, so let's start there. So you have, let's see what images they have. Person. Okay, so you have a couple different people coming in. To your site. Can you tell us a little bit about the types of visitors? Is this a product website we're building? Is this a e-commerce company and so they have different sort of potential purchasers? What's the use case a little bit more?
Yeah, I was thinking more like e-commerce side. Like, let's just say, for example, you have a man and a woman. Let's just say clothing, for example, you have, males coming in and females coming in. Like, how can we differentiate the website to show, different products and different specials for gender-based?
Okay. Let's log some of those down. So you have gender-based specials. Do you have sort of different lines where some might be cheaper or more expensive than others? Or is your price point pretty much the same across all of your products?
We have different tiers of pricing, but it doesn't fluctuate too much. So I guess we could, break it out into different tiered pricing based on the user.
Okay. And have you seen that there's some users that tend to only buy during certain seasons, or some users that only tend to buy like discounted price, like not even just different tiers, but like they only get sales products?
We definitely see a spike. Like you see a spike when like sales come in, and like that drives a lot of traffic.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a couple things you want to do. So you want to both be able to tag content and prioritize content to users, so based on what you know about them or their tiers, but also based on maybe the channel they're coming from. So if they're coming from an email about a 40% off promo versus they're coming off an ad on, say, Facebook for like the new and improved version of your pants, you might want to push them and target them to different locations.
Correct.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit about sort of what is their experience coming into Contentstack. So we're going to have here down at the bottom, we'll have Contentstack as the CMS. We'll make this purple, which is one of my favorite colors. And then working in this system, you'll also have a marketer. No good images. Let's see what I can find. Oh, that was not the right category. Let's do person again. Here we'll have super cool guy will be your marketer. So they are going into the CMS and they are putting content into the platform. Then on the flip side, you have your website visitors. And what they're doing is they are reaching into, and I think here's my cloud image. They're going to the cloud and they're going to www.nixsupercoolclothing.com. Hopefully, hopefully it wins all the awards and you sell a lot of stuff. And so when they come to your website, some magic happens. And so as we know, Contentstack is a headless CMS. So we're not actually delivering this. So you're not going to go straight from here to here. There's a couple steps in the middle. So what you have is you have your application server in the middle. And this is going to be your web app server. And it's going to, when they come to the website, there'll probably be a CDN provider. So you might use something like Fastly, or you might use CloudFront. There's dozens out there. So we'll put CDN here in parentheses. And for those of you who don't know what a CDN is, in case you're not familiar with the technology, it's a content delivery network is what it stands for. But what it does is it basically allows your visitors from anywhere around the world to load web pages faster. So you think about it like, let's say, we're just going to make this simple. Let's say this brand is only in North America. So they have stores in Mexico, US, Canada. You want someone coming in Florida or like in New York to have a fast experience, just like someone coming in California, Arizona, Mexico. So instead of setting up a bunch of different servers all across the country, you set up a CDN and basically you're outsourcing the problem of fast delivery to someone else, and you're just focusing on your website. And so your web app server is where you're going to be doing all of this, the projects and the development. And so it's going to have a connection to Contentstack to fetch data. So whenever someone comes in and let's say they look for, we'll say a page, they're looking for the homepage. That will translate to something in the CMS. Similarly, they might be looking at, we talked about the new pants, so we'll call it the new pants page, and they'll be looking for different content. But the decisioning around sort of how to do these pieces will come from a separate system. So what you'll do is you'll connect Contentstack into a personalization engine. And there are tons of companies out there. So there are tools like Uniform, Constructor, Dynamic Yield, and then also all the big cloud providers have their own solutions as well. And these are just a few of them. There's quite a lot of them out there. And so you'll also have an integration between this system and this one here. And then there'll also be sort of, usually there's a dotted line connector between both of these as well, where they're communicating and discussing. And so this is a really cool solution because you now have two solutions coming in. You have one place where your content creator is making the content, and you have another sort of rule engine that's actually going to be deciding what to provide to users. And then you'll have basically tags for these items. So for like the gender-based specials, so you might have a gender tag, and this will show, we'll do here. So it'll be men, women, kids, maybe. Actually, it might be boys and girls because you may want to separate out the clothing for kids. You may have for pricing, you may have promo, regular, premium, and then like, let's say it's sort of like Supreme and you're doing, or like Nike and you're doing these sort of branded collabs, and so you might have collabs. And these are different tags that you're tagging your content to. And then you'll have channel of where they come from. So it might be straight from like search. They might be coming in from a marketing campaign. They might be coming in from social media. And all these different tags are sitting both in the system and over here. So if we go back to the use case we had before, like let's say we'll look at, instead of doing the sort of full page, we'll look at like I'm creating a banner. So what I'll have a tag for gender, and I might say women. And let me fix the alignment here so it's a little bit less crazy. And then under pricing, I may do that it's a collab. And under channel, they might have come, we'll do that. The new pants is from a social media post. So this is the metadata that I'm putting in. And so then what happens is when this user come in, we know through the items they've clicked on previously, because they're a repeat visitor to a site, that they're most likely female, or at least they're purchasing female clothing. We know that they came in, their source was a social media link specifically about a collab. And so then what the system will do is it'll go to the personalization and it'll say, give me banners with this tag. And that's what will be delivered to the user. Does that make sense? Any questions there, Nick, or any thoughts, anything I haven't thought about?
No, it all looks really good. So you said that the custom field in Contentstack is how it connects everything together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, actually, I didn't say it, but thank you for putting the words there. So yeah, so what you'll have for this integration is a custom field. So all these different metadata pieces will be defined in the personalization engine, but will be selected in the CMS. So this is Nick. This is actually what Nick looks like in real life. He has this exact tie on every day and these glasses. But Nick, when he's coming in to update his website, will basically be picking from these different options, almost as drop downs as he's creating content. And so it's similar to the use case we saw earlier when we talked about the personalized content tags. That's exactly what we're talking about right now. And so these would be the different tags and options you have, and this can keep growing. So as we get more advanced, as you have more product, as you have more user data, you may start categorizing based on age. You may start categorizing based on locations. Like I've seen, for example, like Dynamic Yield, they can do categorizing and they can do personalization based on the weather around you or the size of the city you live in. So for example, if you're in Texas searching for a jacket in September, or if you're in New York searching for a jacket in September, those mean two different things, because you're probably looking for something a lot warmer in New York. And so it can use that kind of data to actually decide and interpret what your search results are to bring better, more personalized results to the users as they're coming in.
And so all of these audiences that I'm generating, or all these different categories, they're going to be generated inside the personalization engine and not inside Contentstack.
That's correct. So I can put a little box around this to make it easy. Let's change the color a bit. Oh. So these actually, I'll make it green to match the uniform color. So these all basically are categories will be defined in the personalization engine, but they will appear visually inside the system here. So think of like when you have a drop down, like let's say you're picking between like what state you live in, you get the drop down with 50 different states. That's exactly what the experience will be. But in this case, like under gender, it'll have men, women, boys, girls. Under pricing, it'll have promo, regular, premium, collabs. And let's say down the line, you have a sub brand or something and you want to have sub brand A, it'll get added here in the personalization engine and automatically appear in the CMS later. But what's nice about this, that's a technical detail that the developers understand and think about. Like all this stuff up here is all magic that a developer understands. But Nick, when you're updating your content on your website, you don't need to know or think about all this. You're just going in, pulling a banner in, you're going to upload an image, add some text to it, and then pick from these different drop downs. You don't have to think about what happens afterwards.
Okay, yeah, that makes it sound really easy. Awesome. Thanks for showing me that.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Great use case there. Wanted to do a quick poll. This is our final poll, so I'll launch this. Let's see. There we go. And this one is around integration. So in terms of priority for your organization, which of the integrations are you most interested in? Folks, a couple seconds to launch their answers. Votes are trickling in. Let's give everyone just a couple more seconds. All right. So it looks like, and I'm glad that we covered personalization. It looks like personalization, commerce, search, translation, and then DAM is the ranking there. So,
could you talk a little bit about the maturing of the personalization engines? It seems like you can easily remove one and try another one.
Mm-hmm.
If your needs go from simple to complex. Nothing that you've drawn here suggests that you can't do that. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's really correct. So there's a concept called MACH, which stands for it's MACH. It stands for microservices, API first, cloud, and headless. And Contentstack is designed this way, and a lot of our partners, their technologies are also designed this way. And we actually co-founded an alliance called the MACH Alliance, specifically designed to help promote this way of development and help companies identify really the best technologies out there. And one of the core tenets of it is that everything's integrated through APIs and everything sits in the cloud. And so you're not dealing with updating systems and a lot of dependencies and a lot of work on the integration side. Most integrations can be built in a couple days. For example, we did a presentation at a conference with Uniform, Gatsby, and Contentstack about 2 months ago. And the entire sort of workshop, it was, I think, a 2 or 3 hour workshop to train people on how to basically build on top of Gatsby, how to integrate Contentstack and Uniform. And they were able to build a full integration in just a couple of hours. But even sort of our work to get there was just less than 2 weeks of work to build everything together. So very fast to do those implementations. And so what that also means then is if you start with one technology, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. I thought you were catching your breath.
Yeah, so you can start with one technology, and then let's say 6 months from now, your needs outgrow it. Like let's say you want to do better tagging based on location, and you want to do tagging based on sort of user, like more sort of minute user attributes, which may not be the strength of the platform you selected. You can go out and find another platform, and then the two integration points are, for example, are integrating right here to the web server, integrating here to the content. And so you'd redefine, for example, all these categories. You may need to retag some of your content, but most of the migration is just some scripting, and then you just process the script. Like if you have, say, even 500,000 products, if there are only 200 tags that apply to them, and your new system, you have 250 tags, you just write a script to convert from one system's tags to the new system's tags. You run it. If it's 500,000 products, it may take 3 days to get through. But once it's done, and you're just ready for the new system. And so most customers, for example, with Contentstack, they launched their MVP or their first phase of their development in under 6 months, which is very, very fast compared to.
So one of the things that
when you're implementing something to develop.
I'm sorry. So when you're implementing something new like this, you're talking about.
No, I'm done. Go for it. Yeah.
About Gatsby. And Contentstack and integrating a new personalization engine. And that's a lot of work for organizations. So if they're like, well, I don't want to solve all of those problems at once. I don't want to retrain everybody on Gatsby, for example. How sensitive is the web app server, that bit that's rendering the website? How sensitive is it to the technology that you're using there? Do they have to go away and reskill on that? Is that typically what you see, or is it that organizations that are comfortable with their existing code base or the technologies that they're using, integrating Contentstack at the back end, so they don't have to reskill everybody, for example, on front end?
Yeah, so the integration here that you're seeing, so this line right here is done in the code base. It's very simple to integrate. So like, let's say you have a server that has 150 different page templates and you have 10,000 pages to your site. You can start by just integrating one portion of it. So for example, one of our commerce customers, they're a big privately owned toy company with a 4-letter name. I'm not going to say more, but hopefully you might have a hint. They started, for example, with just implementing their menu, because they were updating their menu 3 to 4 times a week, but it was done at a code level. And so it needed a developer to make changes. So the first thing they did was they just integrated Contentstack with their menu. And when they finished that, they literally had a half of a developer's time that used to be spent just updating the menu that could now be put on other projects. The next thing they did was they integrated the banners, because those were the things that were changing most frequently on their site, so that they could also give that to content creators. And so in just 1 month of development time, they were able to actually free up about 1.5 developers worth of productivity, because they were doing basically content editing that just wasn't enabled for content creators, and then start working on other projects. And the overall migration to Contentstack took 3/4 of a year, but they were able to already start empowering the content team in under 2 months. Another process we've seen sometimes is you can do what's called you can set up sort of on your DNS to actually go to 2 different servers. So if you want to say, like, let's say you're building a new resource center, you can actually have the resource center come from somewhere else and come into your web server, and the rest of the site come from somewhere else. And so you're slowly moving your site over in portions rather than the whole thing needing to come over sort of lift and shift.
So that's really a risk mitigation strategy, which a lot of our customers follow, not just for headless, but because it's scary to do something big and dramatic, particularly with technology that your organization may not be comfortable with, even though it's well used by other groups. So being able to do it incrementally is really important to just building confidence in the organization that it will work.
Yeah, no, like going even for customers that have been on our platform for a while, like every year when we come to things like Black Friday and the holiday period, we have like a readiness meeting with all of our large customers to tell them what we're doing to prepare, what we'd like them to do to prepare, what the expectations are. And for us, it's a year-round thing. So we had a customer that emailed us last week and told us that, hey, Monday of this week, we're going to have some major promotions. Expect Black Friday level scale. It's really nice that they told us, because we basically just were monitoring all of their traffic to make sure things weren't there. Our system auto scales, so we don't need to do any scaling manually. But when we know that if someone's expecting 25 times as much traffic as the day before, we like to keep an extra eye on it for them, just so that if we are seeing any issues, we can let them know. And a lot of those problems aren't necessarily the API being a problem. It's something that's their application server that's not ready. So we can help them identify where they can make improvements and those pieces.
And that's part of the SaaS model. You get that
exactly.
Because Contentstack is SaaS.
Yep. Yeah, we've had customers increase their usage by 955% overnight. And our system auto scaled. And the only reason we knew about it is because we just have internal reporting on API calls, and we happened to notice that it was shifted over by a level of 0 from the day before, and what we're used to seeing for that customer.
Well, that's a good call to make. We saw lots of traffic. Did you expect it? Yes. Oh,
yeah. Yep.
And hey guys, sorry to interrupt. In the last 5 minutes, I just did a last call for Q&A to the audience, and Leandro came through with a question. Not sure if you already talked about this, but can you speak a little bit about the stacks concept in Contentstack and how that aligns to omnichannel experiences?
Definitely. Let me just create a new flow chart just to keep it a little bit organized. So Contentstack has this concept called a stack. Think of it almost like a really big folder or a project repository, and you can have multiple stacks in your organization's instance of Contentstack. And that instance is not a dedicated installation. We are a true multi-tenant SaaS. So we basically carve out a portion of the MongoDB database, give it to you, and you can work whatever magic you want inside. So inside of these stacks, I think just because it's similar to a database, we'll have this in here. So you can have multiple stacks. Let's say you have stack 1, stack 2, stack 3. And these stacks are separate from each other. So they'll all have their own user sets, their own content, their own assets, their own content types in the system. But when content is coming in and out of them, all you're doing is making API calls into the cloud. From the system. And so that API call could go, right? And you could also at the same time, oh, wrong thing. You could at the same time have your mobile app. Come in, and you, let's say you're in the commerce space, and you also have, let's say, an in-store display, like an in-store kiosk. And like when you're thinking, we talked before about like the different promotions, you're not going to be, if you're updating the promos on your website, you're going to want the same ones to come from your mobile app, as well as from your kiosk. So if I add, say, like let's say it's a fast food restaurant, and it's like buy one, get a soda for free if you buy 3 snacks or something. You want, when you update that text, to have it update all the different systems, you'll keep it inside of one stack. But on the flip side, let's say your company has multiple brands. And so your website content model is the same, your structure is the same, but let's say it's like Gap and Old Navy and Banana Republic. You want to standardize things, but like your promo for Gap is not going to go Old Navy because you're not cross-advertising content. So this might be this will be brand 1, and this will be brand 2. And for brand 2, you'll have the same sort of 3 sets of sites you'll have. And then you might have, let's say, a shared content model. So this might be things like terms of service, privacy policy, like returns and exchanges, things that you're sharing across all your different sites so that when you update them, you want to be able to update them one time. And this will actually then also go sort of into all of these different systems. Let me squeeze down so you can see everything. So that's just another way to basically build and connect the systems. And so in Contentstack, we actually provide you that flexibility. And what we'll also do, because this is hard to decide what to do, and it is something that, especially if you've never built on a system before, you may not know where you want to go. We'll actually, we bring in architectural sessions, and Scott's team does an amazing job with this as well. We'll work with you to understand your use case, understand your needs, and then help you design sort of how you want the system to do. So a lot of our customers actually and prospects will go through similar exercises to this. And they'll, at the end of the meeting, they'll actually have like an architectural diagram of how they want to connect all the different systems. And I see we have one more question. So let's go over by just a couple minutes to answer it, just to make sure we get through everyone's questions. So it's, do you provide some kind of tool to migrate assets from an FTP server to Contentstack? So there's a couple things we have. We have a migration scripts that can allow you to import content from other systems. We also have a content management API, which has an SDK behind it. So if it's a different system, you can write a quick script to pull in the content. And then finally, we have a feature called custom fields, which is what I talked about with Nick earlier, that lets you integrate to other systems. And so if you have your content sitting on an FTP server, you may want to migrate it over. But if you have the data already sitting in S3, or let's say it's sitting in a different digital asset manager, if that system is working for you, you may not want to move your content into Contentstack, and you can actually integrate it. And in the CMS, there'll be basically a window. You click add asset, and behind the scenes, it'll go out to your digital asset manager, to your FTP server, and select the content from there. So the content team feels like it's built into the CMS, but behind the scenes, it's still sitting in your other location.